getting out here. I feel like I look like I'm bald. Yay! Almost everything up here is dried out. I let those green beans go. I didn't need them. I didn't have any family that needed them. But my Honeycrisp apple is looking really good. And my blueberries are still hanging on, so that's great. The mix, chamomile is hanging on for dear life. That bell pepper isn't doing the best, but the sage, I'm gonna actually plant that outside soon. My rhubarb is still very little. I'm not sure when I should be transplanting and separating that. Basil's gotten really great. These sunflowers are humongous. I actually have little strawberry plants now. They did not like it in the trellises. I got little cabbage here looking good. So the first garden is looking amazing. Cucumbers have totally taken over. I resituated some marigolds. Lavender's looking good. And thyme's looking good. Still with the lettuce, just getting eaten off, and that cabbage. I've got some leaves on some green beans back here, which is a sign of hope. But something came in and totally took out my onion. Like, it doesn't even look like it ever existed. This is all eggshells. Starting to put kind of a barrier, and you can see with the logs. Neighbor cutting down a tree, and I'm like, yeah, I would love some wood, and then it's like these humongous ginormous logs that I have to like tire roll. But the garlic in the second garden bed is looking great. My tomatoes are getting much bigger. So excited. And like I said, I will have to make better markers. If there are new gardeners out there, I would definitely recommend putting descriptive markers, like what kind of tomato it is. I would even say when you planted it exactly, because I think this is my third garden tour, but I'm officially lost with how many weeks it's been since I put these in the ground. Everything's looking really good. That basil's really coming up. That cilantro's going to seed, but I don't even care. Mint is looking great. You can tell things are reopening with quarantine because it's a lot of traffic again. Okay, and then the third garden bed. Look at that. It's just crazy. I love it. So many little zucchinis on here, and I feel like they're all gonna come at the same time. So I'm gonna have to get an attachment on my KitchenAid so I can shred these babies up. See, I replanted some marigolds here. I just like that front part where the marigolds were over there. There were so many, and they were getting really big, so I decided to split them up and just put them everywhere. There's one volunteer cherry tomato or whatever that was last year. The oregano has clearly not come up. The corn has clearly been eaten, so I've really got to invest in some good ideas for next year. My sage. I'm actually going to pick some of these off right now because I'm going to make some sage sticks. So I haven't looked up the technical way to pick sage, but I just kind of follow with what pretty much every plant, it's a good general theme, is that where you see the leaves come together and then it branches off is a good spot to split it or pinch it off, because then I think it'll be okay to start new sprouts and you won't totally kill the plant. So we need like an actual garden shed. See, look at all that wood. So I replanted marigolds here. Something's come and eaten something out. Probably my marigolds. My allium has finally sprouted. Yep, these will have to get pulled out. My zinnias have been eaten alive out of these containers. Those are the perennial daylilies that came with my dead trees back there. actually doing okay. I'm going to plant these somewhere. I just don't know yet. Oh my God. And there's a volunteer tomato plant. That's so funny. Silly, because you're walking around talking to yourself on the phone, but whatever. I need to keep a record of how these plants do because I don't want to waste my money and time every year and then I don't remember. What the? Oh my goodness. What the heck? And like I said, I planted, my son points with his middle finger, I planted pumpkin in this one and pumpkin in that very far one. So I'm hoping that if it does grow, I'll let it kind of take over this area here. Let's see what's in this one. Zinnia, marigold. Oh yeah, I planted marigold in that one. So something came over there and ate it. So zinnia, marigold. This lavender is looking great. I wonder if I should prune it back, if that will help it boost up, because it's got a lot of those really old woody parts from last year, but I don't know that much about lavender. And then my allium has finally popped up. I'm excited. So some things that have been missed are that I've already collected 2 decent size zucchinis, so about 8 inches, the size that you want to be harvesting. And I'm just going to kind of show you what my garden looks like now. I've been dealing with pests. I'm still trying to figure out who's the culprit, and I'll try and do, you know, the hot pepper spray. And I see some nasty slug eggs down here that I think that's what they are, that I'm going to be pulling those out and then putting them into a bucket of soapy water. So I am in love with this trellis cucumbers growing up here now. There is one that's getting real close to being ready to pick, but there's just so many of these little cute, pokey little guys hanging on. I don't know if you remember, but I planted black beans down here and then all of these green beans down here, and I don't know what's eating them, but they haven't gotten any bigger than like a seedling-ish size because they just keep getting eaten down. So I think it's slugs, because as you can see, I believe these are slug eggs that are nasty and dried out now, and so maybe the slugs are already gone. But these are the Cracker Jack marigolds I transferred. The time is kind of string along. My lavender is doing pretty well. Something came in and ate like all of the lettuce that was here. But the dill, the one sprig of dill is still holding on. This thyme is looking great. Cabbage is like non-existent. So I've got another one in my greenhouse, but I have yet to pull it out. And then isn't it the craziest thing, but I don't know what that is. It's probably some kind of weed, but it's almost like the onion was never here. I didn't even know things ate onion. You know, they tell you to put like garlic and red peppers in a container. So we'll keep going along. And yeah, the zinnias are getting eaten down. The sunflower is like not even there anymore. I'm so sad about that. Tomatoes are looking real great, nice and tall. I just kind of put up a string as they go because they're getting a little bit bigger than their cages, which is fine. I wanted them to. My garlic is doing good. I need to look up when garlic is ready because they're starting to get a little bit of yellowing on the ends. I see some of these leaves that are starting to look a little sickly. I'll pick them off. And I've got some coffee grounds in the house that I'll mix in here in a little. My bell peppers are finally popping up. It's so funny what's like coming up and how slow it does. I'm gonna guess because I have this garden so packed with stuff is that some things are taking longer to come to maturity. Like these Cracker Jack marigolds, I didn't know they were gonna get this big. I just saw the picture of marigold and I didn't even bother looking at the back to see what size they actually get. So they're humongous. I'm glad I thinned them out. My basil is looking real great, and the dang mint, of course, that's doing fine. Oh, snap. Where did that guy come from? Okay, well that's gonna have to get harvested today. The sage is looking great. That marigold, volunteer tomato. I did manage to have one sunflower survive. It's about 2 feet tall. And it was recently planted last week, so it went from the greenhouse out here. This one, last leaf off. I'll probably take that with me. I don't even want to throw it back here to give them the scent. But just to keep the leaves up a little higher until I figure out what's going on with them. In the greenhouse, I recently pulled a few things out because they were dead. And planted some new things. So I've got some more flowers. I've got hollyhocks here, which are the Fairy Morris Carnival blend. I planted more lavender. My raspberry's pretty much dead. I saw them popping up a little bit in a matter of a couple of days, and then they aren't looking so great anymore. So. And then I've got some watermelon, the sugar baby variety, and then corn, which is the Silver Queen. I'm so excited that I got some more corn. That's something I really wanted to can this year, so I'm gonna do everything I possibly can to get some more going. And then in these ones I started pumpkin. I know that I've heard don't do really well when they're transplanted, but I did transplant those ones that are out there before I heard that you shouldn't do that because they might die. So I'm thinking that I might be okay, that my technique will work. So I still have my Honeycrisp apples. My lemons have pretty much died. Strawberries are still pretty small. Pumpkin hasn't popped up yet. Those guys are still, isn't this amazing? I just think it's so funny how small the bell peppers are. So I'm gonna have to up my game. I took one of those small strawberry and planted it up here. I put some fresh organic seed starting mix. I figured that would probably make it happy. And up at the top of my trellis, I've got some zinnias going. I did replant some zinnias in here because I was feeling so sad that this trellis only had the blueberries, and my sunflowers, this has to be like the 3rd or 4th round of sunflowers that I've planted in hopes to actually get sunflowers. So those are going to have to grow up really tall before I move them out. And then my message. So